Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some of the techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions as well. So it dawned on me that I haven't done any kind of ACX auditions or audiobook auditions on ACX in quite a while. And I know there have been a lot of changes going on in ACX. And admittedly, I haven't been in there much myself and taken a lot of a look around. A lot of a look around. Apart from helping other people and answering their questions about ACX, I have personally not been in there to audition for a book in a while. So we're going to jump in there today and see what we can find and maybe submit an audition. So come with me. Let's go. Okay, so here we are on ACX main page here. I haven't double checked any of my filters, but as you know, sometimes they change. Someone had told me how to actually save the filters, but for some odd reason that doesn't seem to work, or maybe I'm just doing it wrong. It's operator error. I don't know. But every time that you come in here, you definitely want to check your filters if you're looking for something specific, or you can leave them all on any and see what comes up. Either way, there should be some results. So let's take a look and see where my filters are. First one is genre. So I've got it on any and exclude erotica and sexuality. However, I have found that some of the juicy books have found their way into the non-erotica and sexuality categories. I think the authors, probably even, I dare to say, the self-publishers, are finding creative ways to market their books outside of erotica and sexuality, but you never know. So I'm going to leave the filter at this selection here. I'm going to hit apply. And then for gender, it's on any. I'm going to go with female for today. And then compensation, I'm going to leave it on any and see what we get. And then I don't really care if it is fiction or nonfiction, so I'm going to leave it on that. Language, of course, is English. I don't know how to speak German. Let's see, accent, I'm going to leave it. No, I'm not going to do any. I'm going to do American General, American. Vocal style, I'm going to leave it on any. Voice age, let's do... See, this is when I always get anxiety. Should I choose adult or middle-aged? Let's do adult and hit apply. Project length, I'm looking for something on the shorter side. So I think I'm going to go for under 3 hours. Incentive programs, any project status. I'm going to exclude any titles with pending offers. I don't want to have to battle someone out for this book. Oop, did I hit apply or did I hit, yeah, exclude, apply. Okay, so that brings us down to 38 books that we can audition for today. So let's take a look and see what we find. Affiliate marketing secrets, how to determine the most effective pricing strategy for pricing your digital products. Wow, that title is very large. Trust me, if you can, it shall be light in the evening. There's a children's book. Let's see, Souls Talk, Surviving the South. Let's just flip through them all here and see if anything jumps out. Truth According to John. Self-care for moms. I think that's important. So that one's a contender. Let's go further in here. Creating the Millionaire's Table. Thin-minded, understanding your assignment. Strange Animal Farm Spice Cake. The Dying Process. Oh, someone was telling me about this book, The Dying Process. Classic Shred. The Complete Puerto Rican Cookbook for Beginners. That would be probably a good one to learn how to cook something outside of my wheelhouse. Step-by-step guide, baby sleep secrets. That's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna go back to what was the self-care for moms. I'm gonna look at that one. So I'm gonna click this one. Okay, so this one is estimated length of 1.3 hours. That is an estimated length, of course. That is not going to be more than likely not going to be the finalized length of this finished audiobook. It could be more, it could be less. Project budget, they're offering between $50 and $100 per finished hour, not per hour, per finished hour. And keep in mind, a finished hour is a finished hour of audio. And there are, depending on your skill level with audiobooks, anywhere from 2 to 3 to 6 hours of work per finished hour. So keep that in mind. Word count is 12,000 words. So in reality, this book could be closer to 1.2 hours. Distribution exclusive, territories worldwide. So the next thing I'm going to look at is the date it was posted to ACX. It looks like it's been here since the 28th of October. That's just been, about 10 days or so. Original publication date looks like it was originally published in September of this year. Let's see, sales rank is below 1 million. There is no current rating, which just means that no one has purchased it. Well, I should say people have probably purchased it, but no one's rated it as of yet. But again, it's only been, you know, since its publication date, just a couple of months, a month and a half ish, maybe 2 months at the most. It's not been very long. So someone could have purchased it, just not read through it yet. So, but because this isn't a royalty share book, you're being paid in the pay for production format, which is they're paying you for your time to produce this audiobook, not so much for royalty share, which of course you would share in the royalty payments with the author. That is really when you really want to look at the rankings, because how well received the book is the better it's going to sell and the more money you and the author are going to split. But because this one is a pay for production, meaning they pay you just a flat buyout rate, then you don't have to look so much at the ratings. Okay, so this is a nonfiction book in English, female, adult, American, general American, engaging vocal style. And here is the audition. And it looks like the notes from the rights holder is the exact same bit of the script that they want for the audition. So no additional information provided by the rights holder. Let's see, checkpoint. Okay, okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to audition for this book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my Adobe Audition. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this one, just so I know what it is, Self-Care for Moms. I can always adjust this later just so I know what it is. Okay, and I'm going to close my studio door because my computer is loud. So let's start this recording. And then I'm going to pull back up the audition. And for those of you that haven't seen any of my other videos where I'm auditioning, I use a dog training clicker to mark my mistakes. This isn't the only way to do this while you record to mark your mistakes. This is just the way that I do it. Some people snap their fingers. Some people actually clap. Some cluck their tongue. Some people use a completely different way to record and mark your mistakes, or just to record in general, and it's called punch and roll, where you make a mistake, you stop the recording, and then you go back to where you made the mistake and then record over with the correct or the retake. Whereas for me, I can't allow myself to do the squirrel thing and stop the recording and then start over again. I'd rather stay in that frame of mind and then just click to mark them where I made the mistake. And I'll show you this in editing. But that way I can go back when I edit, clear out the mistake or remove the error. And then also at the same time, make sure there's no errant noises, or, the dog next door can't be heard, maybe that I can't hear while I'm recording. But again, this is just one way to record. You do it however you're comfortable with. This is just the way that I do it. But I've been recording this whole time. So let me stop this and delete all of this blah, blah, and start over. Okay. It was 6:30 in the evening, and I told my 3 girls to start getting ready for bedtime. One started crying, asking for some more minutes to watch her show. The other one stood up and stomped her feet all the way upstairs, and the last one asked me to carry her to the bathroom. In my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, we do this every night. You all know. You all should know by now what to do. I am exhausted, and all I want to do is lay down and relax. Why can't I train my girls to listen the first time I remind them to do something? If only I had a magic wand, then this would be easier. Am I meant to be a mother? The thoughts kept coming, and of course, I was overwhelmed and frustrated. Then one of my girls started yelling, escalating to anger. Skipped a line. Then one of my girls started yelling, Mom, there are no more towels in the cabinet. So, with my little girl on my waist, I went to the laundry room. To pick up one of the clean towels. They all took turns bathing and finished an hour and a half later. By this time, my emotion has escalated to anger. Hurry up, girls. If you're not ready in 10 minutes, I'm going to bed and you are on your own. Immediately, 2 of my girls started crying, and that triggered more frustration in me. Ugh, I'm failing at this. It is now 9 p.m. I am here beside my littlest one, rubbing her back, trying to help her fall asleep quickly, but my mind is somewhere. Meanwhile, my middle kid kept moving on top of the bunk bed when I already reminded her to stop moving. Knock, knock. Mom, are you coming to my room to lay down with me? That was my oldest daughter. Can't you go to bed by yourself? You are 10. I snapped back at her. Oh, I felt so horrible. How did it get to this point? I asked myself. How did it get to this point? I asked myself, still so angry. Having kids was my dream, and I wanted to be a mom who spends time with her kids and helps them when they ask for it. Relatable. Okay, so now that I have this recorded, I'm going to apply my audiobook effects rack, which I have saved as audiobook 2. If any of you know, I've updated my audiobook rack, now audiobook 2. So I'm going to apply this. And if you want to know what's in my rack or how I saved it or anything to do with the rack, I'm going to put the card up above for that particular video. So check out that video on Adobe Audition racks for more information about Adobe Audition preset racks. Okay, rack is applied, and now I'm going to put my ears on, and we're going to go through and edit this really quick. So one thing that I do for everything on ACX, apart from maybe the samples, but every audition and, of course, every finished audiobook is going to be formatted to ACX's standards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this room tone, about maybe, let's just do like 660 seconds. I copy that. And then, okay. So this is the beginning. So I'm going to paste in this room tone. It was 6:30 in the evening. And I'm just going to go through and remove my mistakes or anything else that shouldn't be in there. It was 6:30 in the evening, and I told my 3 girls to start getting ready for bedtime. One started crying, asking for some more minutes to watch her show. Add a little bit of a shorter pause there. The other one stood up and stomped her feet all the way upstairs, and the last one asked me to carry her to the bathroom. In my mind, I thought, I close this gap here. Oh my gosh, we do this every night. And then here's a mistake, and this is what I was talking about earlier when you're using the dog clicker. That sound is picked up by the mic to look like this. It is very different from the dialogue, right? This is the dialogue. This is where I made a boo-boo, and then this is the correct retake. So this click in between shows me where I need to edit this out or where the mistake occurred. So I'm going to just make sure that this is the correct spot where the mistake is. You all know. You all should know by now. Okay, so I'm just going to select the mistake and the click and delete them. You all should know by now what to do. And I'm going to close the gap and paste in that little bit of room tone that I copied. I am exhausted, and all I want to do is lay down and relax. Why can't I train my girls to listen the first time I remind them to do something? Close this gap a little bit more. If only I had a magic wand, then this would be easier. Am I meant to be a mother? Close this gap a little bit here. The thoughts kept coming, and of course, I was overwhelmed and frustrated. Then one of my girls started yelling, escalating to anger. Skipped a line. That's where I skipped a line. Okay. Then one of my girls started yelling. Actually, with both of these takes in here from me retaking it when I made the mistake, I actually like the first take better than the second take. So I'm going to highlight this second take, my talking and saying that it's the wrong line, the click mark, and then what came after the first take. I'm going to delete all of those. So now it should flow. Then one of my girls started yelling, "Mom, there are no more towels in the cabinet." So, with my little girl on my waist, I went to the laundry room. So here's another mistake. So I went to the laundry. Okay, so I'm going to delete the mistake and the click. I went to the laundry room to pick up one of the clean towels. They all took turns bathing and finished an hour and a half later. By this time, my emotion... I'm going to just reduce some of this pause between. By this time, my emotion has escalated to anger. Hurry up, girls. If you're not ready in 10... Okay, I'm going to reduce this pause here because I can see that I took a breath. This is a breath. I'm going to reduce this pause here. Immediately, two of my girls started crying, and that triggered more frustration in me. Ugh, I'm failing at this. It is now 9 p.m. Okay, I'm going to reduce the pause in between. Those seem to go better closer together. And then reduce this pause here. I am here beside my littlest one, rubbing her back, trying to help her fall asleep quickly, but my mind is somewhere. Meanwhile, my middle kid. Okay, so first I'm going to reduce this pause here. And then this is where I made another mistake. I can see my click mark here. My middle kid. Okay, so I'm going to take this mistake take, and the click and delete those. My middle kid kept moving on top of the bunk bed when I already reminded her to stop moving. Reduce this pause. Knock, knock. Mom, are you coming to my room to lay down with me? I heard a bit of a mouth click there. I can actually see it. So I'm going to change my cursor to a healing brush and then just wipe over that. To lay down with me? Okay, now I'm going to highlight this pause and reduce it. That was my oldest daughter. Can't you go to bed by yourself? You are 10. I snapped back at her. Reduce this pause a little bit. Oh, I felt so horrible. How did remove that mistake and the click? How did it get to this point? How did it get to... Actually, we did that 3 times. So I'm going to remove all of this mistake, the click, up to the start of the retake and delete it. How did it get to this point? I asked myself, still so angry. Reduce this pause with that room tone. Having kids was my dream, And I wanted to be a mom who spends time with her kids and helps them with big breath. I'm going to reduce that because this is a continuation of a sentence. And I wanted to be a mom who spends time with her kids and helps them when they ask for it. Cool. All right. So now I'm going to take the tail of this file and paste in the room tone until I'm over a minute. So I'm about 1.984 seconds. Did I say minute? I meant second. You want the tail to be at least over a second. Okay, so just to double check my head of my file. Okay, so the start of your narration at the head of your file needs to fall, the start time needs to fall between a half a second and a second. So this is what I'm talking about, half a second and a second. So as long as your narration falls between these two lines, you're good to go for the head of the file. But for the tail of the file, you want to be at least a second of room tone. Between a second and 5 seconds. I'm usually around 2.5 or 3 seconds, somewhere between those 2 points. But whatever you choose as your length of room tone at the tail of your file, keep it consistent across each file so it's not discombobulating to the listener, right? I don't know if you listen to audiobooks, but when one section ends, you don't want it to be a second, and then the next one's 5 seconds, and then the next one's 2 seconds. It's going to confuse the listener as to, is this the start of a new paragraph? Is this the start of a new chapter? Is this just a new, what's going on? So whatever you decide to choose as far as a length of room tone at the tail of each file, keep it somewhat consistent. Okay, so now that I have all my mistakes removed, I have my rack applied, I have the head and tail of my file at the appropriate times, I'm now going to normalize it to -3 dB. Now, to check and make sure that my RMS levels are correct, I'm going to go in Adobe Audition, I'm going to go to Amplitude Statistics, and now I'm going to scan this file. Okay, so the only numbers that you really want to look at on amplitude statistics for Adobe Audition to make sure that you're within the standards for ACX is the top number, which is your peak amplitude. Make sure that it is -3 dB or lower, which is going to be -3.01, 0.02, that is lower. And then the other number you want to look at is the total RMS amplitude, which in this case, this is -22.47, which falls within ACX's range for RMS amplitude, which needs to fall between -18 and -23 for RMS amplitude for ACX. So this file is good to go. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to make sure that the title was correct. Self-care for moms. Okay, good. So now I'm going to add my name to the audition. Oops. Angela. And then I'm just going to make sure that the sample type for this file is correct, which it is 44/100 hertz, mono, 16-bit. And then we're going to change this WAV file to an MP3 and then save it. Now this is ready to be submitted to ACX as an audition. So let's hop back over to ACX. We're going to browse our computer for the correct file, the file that we just recorded. And then we're going to add a little bit of a message. We're going to say, thank you for reviewing my audition. And then I'm going to add a sentence that shows the author that I'm paying attention to what kind of book this is and the impact this book could have on the listeners, right? So I'm going to say, as a mom, I completely understand. I gotta spell it right though. Understand and can relate. And I still spelled understand incorrectly. And then this is the opportunity for you to tell them about your rates if you wanted to, or you could just leave this as a flowery introduction, right? Thank you for your time and for listening to my audition. This is something personal about the book, some way that you can connect with it, why you think that your voice would be perfect for this particular audiobook, something of that nature. You don't necessarily have to get into what rate you want to do, what rate you want to offer them for this book. You can actually discuss that in a later message if they want to talk with you further on this. If they hear your audition and like your voice and they reach out to you, that would be and also a good time to discuss your rates. Typically, I don't upfront. I'll just say, hey, thank you for listening to my audition. I completely relate to this book. I think it's going to be great, something of that nature. I look forward to hearing from you. And then, submit the audition and see if they get back to you. Because they have to, first and foremost, have to like your voice and narration style before you go any further anyway, right? But if you wanted to include your rates at this time, that was perfectly fine as well. And then once you have your message completed and your audition uploaded, hit the submit audition button. And then once you hit that submit audition button, you just want to verify that the audition did go through and that the message did go through, because you never know. Technology, sometimes for me anyway, has a mind of its own. So just make sure that everything went through, fine, and then move on to finding another audiobook. But thank you for joining me today in a little walkthrough of an ACX audiobook audition. I hope that answers some questions for you. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I really appreciate that. If you want to learn more about me, my work, or how I can help you get started in audiobook narration, check out my website, voiceoverangela.com. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.